And we're live. Round of applause, everybody. All right, so I know I say this every week, but this is such a great episode that's coming up. If you miss it, you got to get it on replay, right? So this is SpeakuP Monday. As I mentioned, this is episode number 423. Tonight is all about the hospitality and horticultural blueprint for Indonesia. We have some incredible guests that will introduce themselves shortly. But again, anyone who's interested, and we have a lot of people here, you know, we have some leading hospitality venues here. We have a farmer. Thank you for pointing yourself out earlier on. Yes, my brother, you. And we have, you know, some very interested parties when it comes to hospitality. So looking forward to solve some challenges for them as we go. Now, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick. As you know, I'm the founder of SpeakuP Monday and RIB and Associates, which is a growth strategist and a gateway to Indonesia for foreign and domestic companies that want to grow in Indonesia. And we connect the dots together to make that happen. So, let's start with you. So we have the beautiful Theodora, the handsome Rama. So we're going to hear about them now. So remember, when you're watching tonight, listen through the ear of hospitality and horticulture, right? And once you get that, I think you're going to find some really interesting points that you're going to leave here with that will kind of change how you think. So ladies first, Theodora, maybe if you can introduce yourself, take a couple of minutes, and let us know who you are and what brought you here today, and obviously your company as well.
All right. Hello. Oh yeah, I always forgot this. Anyway, I'm Theodora Hurustiati Pura di Sastra. The name is too long. No worries. Just remember Theodora.
Beautiful name.
And then I'm a chef. I was trained. I studied to become a chef in Italy, and I worked and trained there for many years until I moved to Indonesia 4 years ago to head Padma Resorts Ubud kitchen in Ubud. It's a 5-star resort, and now for a year I've founded my own company. It's called Pura Cucina Studio. It's where basically my core business is culinary consultancy, and many people also ask me to become private chefs or to organize private parties. So what's culinary consultancy? Basically, the easier way to say it, I guess I always say to Robert, I fix restaurants. Basically, I fix other people's menu when there are problems, or when it's new restaurant. And so I can I create menu concepts and train the team until they are ready to open or until they are set and well, and then I move on to another project. Yeah.
Beautiful, right? So fixing restaurants, and I mean, you know, one of the things is that, you know, just here, for example, close by in Canggu, there's so much competition. There's so many what look like to be great restaurants and great venues, and you know the thought that goes through my head, and I'm sure it goes through many other people here as well, is that how are all of these guys going to survive and thrive, right? Yeah. How many is going to work? How many in a year's time is going to be another restaurant, right, taking their place? But thanks for the fit out, right? Yeah. Thanks for the kitchen. You've just halved our entry costs, and we'll take over from here. So we're looking forward to finding out more about what that looks like.
Yeah.
So, Brother Rama, over to you, sir, to introduce yourself and how did you get here?
Good evening, everybody. To whoever watch it, maybe in the morning, so good morning as well. I'm Ramadani Prasetya. I've been living here in Bali for the past 10 years. I'm coming from a company called Island Organics Bali, one of the longest organic horticulture producers ever exist in Bali. Of course, we do have Temuku Pupon and some others before, but we are one of the few that works both to the F&B and then the home delivery. Actually, most of my friends called me disco farmer because you would find me more on the dance floor instead of my own farm. But that actually comes from a reason. I guess I'm more working to the downstream rather than the upstream. Of course, we do the production as well, but then to understand what the market wants, I guess working closely with chef like Theodora, so that's why we became good friends, close friends, even best friends, because I grow, she cook, and at the end of the day, we all farmer, we all make our own food, right? my background was quite complicated because I actually came from a forestry background, so working mostly with timber, and I've been working more than 30 years with orchids. So my other background was also in genetic improvement and germplasm conservation, so very quite specific in botanical plant science world. But then when it comes to farmer by trade, then I made more hybrids and to answer the challenge of the F&B industry here in Indonesia, because then I realized after knowing more chefs like Theodora and many others, the industry, it's actually similar like many other industry, like for example, fashion. They're always craving for new produce. They're always craving for different things. And dealing with genetics, with hybrids, with mutagenesis, and I'm not talking about GMO, I'm just talking in general, that we can actually do more approach on the genetical level, because up to now, most of the plant breeding usually focus more on the adaptability of the environment itself, to be less prone with the pest and disease, but never really about the flavor. And then the orchids was the other way around. It's more about the property, but never about the pest and disease. But yeah, anyway, that's what I've been doing.
You know, the thing which kind of comes up with both of you, and one of the things that underpins the show, always has, always will, is that people inspire people. So when you say disco farmer, right, I just get a smile, right? So if anyone here is like, oh, you know, who are you going to see? I'm going to go and see the disco farmer. How can you not smile, right? How can you not be like, man, this guy sounds like a hoot, you know? Like, I've just got to go and meet with this guy just because I've got to find out who he is. Or if you're on the dance floor with him the night before, it's like, man, I want to see you get up tomorrow for work. And I'm sure he does.
That's how I got my customers, though. That's how we do the marketing in the beginning, because actually, well, there's a reason why a club called a club, right? Yeah. Back that time, I always holding my name card and, you know, say hi to people in the bar. What do you do? I'm a chef. I'm a GM of a restaurant, hotel, whatsoever. I'm a farmer. So get my card and let's talk.
Love it.
Now we exchange EG.
But this is it, right? So, you know, at the end of the day, no matter what the business is, when it involves people, it makes me smile because, you know, people, again, we're in Indonesia, motto of unity and diversity, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. I learned that very young. I've been through my background before, but the point is that we look different, right? Mm. We maybe sound different. We maybe have different ideology or different views, and we can come together when it comes to food. We can come together when it comes to farming, when it comes to disco farmer, when it comes to, right, cucina.
Yeah, sharing food and, yeah. Actually, like, I think food is the best way of sharing what we have and sharing also, like, the cultural side of it. That's where, like, that's how I love food, because then I can get to learn other people's cultures, to what they eat. So it's the socio-anthropological aspects of it that I love. You know, like before moving to Italy, I only ate Indonesian food, and the Western food I ate here, and that were not so original. And then as a migrant living in Italy, as I was learning the Italian language, I met with so many friends, because we are all foreigners learning Italians. And so that's how I have Argentinian friends, Albanian, Cuban. And so that's how I just love, oh my God, like it opened my eyes. And that's how I now love to just spread the other people's cultures and knowledge, like through food, like, yeah.
You know, has anyone here seen or watched Someone Feed Phil? Somebody feed Phil, anybody? All right, you got to watch it. It's on, now I'm plugging something else. It's on Netflix. So Someone Feed Phil is a show about this guy called Phil, who is a writer of some very popular sitcoms in America. And what he does is, on season number 10 or whatever it is now, he travels around the world with food, right? Basically doing this with a film crew, and he goes into just about every capital city you can imagine. We're trying to get into Indonesia. He hasn't been here yet. But he's a funny guy, right? He talks to everybody and anybody, and he's just watchable. You know, those sorts of people, you look at them and you can just watch them for hours and you just have fun. He's that kind of a guy. So this is kind of what it's reminding me of, because the question that came up is, so Theodora, and then we get back to Rama, what is it do you think about where it was that you came from as a young person, as a kid? Why did you have this trajectory? What happened to you to make you want to cook for other people, find other people? You mentioned anthropology. What was it, do you think, if there was an experience or one of the experiences that began to shift your trajectory, what would you say it was?
I think it was my family at first, of course, like my grandmother. So I am like half Chinese Indonesian and half West Javan. So, and my father's family is Muslim and my mother's family is Catholic. So I always I grew up like in between the two cultures, the two religions. So I eat Indonesian food, like raw veggies, sambal with my Indonesian grandma, and then I would eat the Chinese peranakan, like Sumatran food, like kind of like Malaysian, but a bit Chinese as well from my grandma. But it was my Chinese grandma that cooked all the time for us, like, and then for the 7 children. So I was kind of like fascinated by it, but I couldn't touch the fire. So because I got like, when I was a baby, I got burnt with like hot water. So my mom and my grandma was kind of like traumatized by it, but it always like made me even more curious to get into the kitchen and help. So like they only allowed me to help with nothing but, you know, like cold stuffs or like folding mochis or whatever, but I couldn't touch the fire until luckily I was in Catholic school. So in Catholic schools, the nuns think as women we need to be able to cook and to sew. So we have once a week cooking lesson and sewing lesson. So I started cooking, I think, like in like late elementary school and middle school, something like that. And I brought home what I cooked from school to my mom. And then she said, wow, this is actually good. You know, like you can actually cook like your grandma.
Positive reinforcement.
Yeah, exactly. So in the end, slowly, they allowed me to cook, and also at the beginning it was because of survival, because my nanny kind of got sick back then, and then my mom started to cook, and it was just mostly cauliflower with Wurstel every single day. So I couldn't.
I love cauliflower.
I couldn't just eat that every day. So also my mom's kind of like, yeah, I think it's better that you cook like for the sake of all of us, that you become the cook of the family. So that's how I kind of like started to experiment. That they gave me the domain of the fire, so I can.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
you know,
survival. It was.
How many people here have got kids? Raise your hands. Just raise your hands. It's okay. Hi. How many of the kids are cooking? Keep your hands up. Okay, so 1. All right. So you just heard, right? Positive reinforcement.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. It's amazing what it can create.
Yeah, so
now you do it for a living.
Cooking. Yeah, I do it for a living. Like, but I didn't know. It was just my passion. I didn't know that I could do that for a living until I moved to Italy.
Well, we're going to get to that story.
Yeah.
Brother Rama. So again, man, disco farmer is stuck in my head. It's like, get it out. I don't want to get it out. Keep it there. Keep it there. So brother, for you, because again, there's a movie called Blazing Saddles, right? It's kind of old. And there's this scene where this guy walks in to this jail and he sees this guy lying on the bed who's an ex-sheriff. And he says to him, what is a dazzling urbanite like you doing in a rustic setting like this? So what is a dazzling urbanite like you doing in a rustic setting like this?
The contrast.
Now, when I look at you, because you're not the everyday person that I see on the street, right? So you strike me as being dazzling, yeah?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, this morning I was not looking like this.
No,
he always looks like this. What are you talking about?
He only wears makeup in the evening.
to cover my age.
You see, that one hit them.
Like it takes him longer to do his makeup than me. You know?
Yeah, keep it going, darling, please.
It's going to be that kind of a show, people. So yeah, Rama. So like, if there was some experiences when you were growing up that had like an impact on you that kind of led you towards where you are today, what would they be? Even 1 or 2 of them that you can think of.
It took me a while to actually answer these questions because every time, of course, people as the dazzling in the rustic, they would not even thought about how would you develop your interest in plants in general, right? Until maybe around 10 years ago, I finally found the answer. So as a kid, you always have something collectibles, right? You have Barbies, the girls, and then the Hot Wheels, action figures, whatever you name it. I was collecting plants. Anti-mainstream, let's put it that way. I started with palms and then arrowheads and then ended up with orchids when I was like maybe 9 or 10.
Why did you start to collect plants? What? Because again, you said people are into Barbie, Hot Wheels, and all the rest of that. Why plants?
Anti-mainstream. Let's say my the phenomenon of how plants could move by growing, how they could react by Earth magnetic gravitation, and then the heat, and then the sun and everything. I'm not sure if that amazed me, but I guess
you could say it.
Well, so orchids type genus is orchis, means testicles, and I just love that group, so let's put it that way.
Family show, I love it. But this is what it's about, right? Because I said to you earlier on, right? What makes this beautiful man him, right? What makes him him? What makes this beautiful woman her? And this is what you're finding out. I think it's amazing. Please continue.
Yeah, so then the world of orchids, not just talking about one or two group of genus, tropical Indonesian orchids, I ended up collecting South American orchids, even like engage myself with some European orchids. Well, in Indonesia itself, we have around 5,000 orchid species. Out of the world, around 30,000 maybe now. With the actual hybrid exists up to now, definitely more than 1 million. So we're dealing with very high diversity group of plant family. And I feel like, okay, if I jump myself on this world, then until the end of my life, I would be always learning. And I will be always fascinated by the way how they evolve, because orchids is one of the earliest plant evolved, so they're quite modern. They only evolved like around 10,000 years ago. Yeah, I guess that's the start. Then of course, alongside the time, I don't think in Indonesia especially we can survive capitally by just growing ornamental plants. I mean, of course you can, but then you definitely need to have a good start. Long story short, my journey embarked to this tropical fruits garden called Mekarsari in West Java. I was working there around 15 years ago. They have around 300 hectares of land with 4,000 different fruits varieties all over the world. So another realm to dig in. And it always fascinates me how many different rambutan, mango, durian, and one of my job back then was doing organoleptic test of nangkadak. So it's a hybrid between nangkadak, so a hybrid between jackfruit and cempedak. I don't know I think it's called gooey jackfruit. Jackfruit and cempedak. So we call it nangkadak, but it took us around 3 generations to create the hybrid, because the first and the second generation was seedless. Not seedless. The first and second generation was empty without hand pollination, because of course they are a new hybrid, they became a new species. There's no pollinator work on it. So the idea was to create jackfruit that easily peeled like cempedak. Because if you remember, it's very difficult to take the jackfruit out from the skin. It's very sticky, and the other way around, cempedak, it's impossible to chew because it's very gooey. I got shocked many times. Anyway, so one of my job was testing every single hybrid for 6 months, every single morning, at least 5 different fruits. So I had to eat like around half a kilos of nangkadak every single morning for 6 months to just like write down, oh, this one have aftertaste, this one smells very bad, this one smells
I see some volunteers in the room.
Yeah.
Some are doing this.
Oh, the first 2 weeks was wonderful.
And then others are like...
Yeah, no, seriously. The first 2 weeks was wonderful until like, I had to bring them back home because I don't have the guts anymore. I don't have the space anymore. I don't have the will anymore. And then the smell stays in the car for a month. worse than durian. But that's the first generation. Now the third generation is way better. But yeah, that kind of experience always makes me smile. And working with salak, working with, again, back to orchids, working with taro, with satoimo, with many different crops, how to revive and reintroduce Indonesian native staple food.
The one thing which thank you, Hadis.
And cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Yeah, if you haven't got a drink,
Sorry.
cheers. Yeah.
We start first, yeah.
There we go. Disco Farmer. Right? Remember, I can always, round of applause, Disco Farmer. And a quick drink break. Now, you know what? When we're looking back over these 422 episodes, I can always say that I was coerced into drinking that glass of wine, right? The Disco Farmer got me. All right, so we're going to get on now. Thank you so much for sharing yourselves, right? Because again, in the pre-part of this, I mentioned to you, right? This is what I want to know, actually. Because when you understand, the testicles, when you understand the Italy, right? And the mama, Rama is all good, my brother. But when you understand that, then you get them at a different level, right? And then it becomes more than just a surface level interview because you've got some depth now. So you understand a little bit of their character and their nature. And again, you two are beautiful. So I'm so happy to have this opportunity, to chat with you, right?
Thank you for having us and inviting us.
Oh, yeah. So, and it's funny because, quick digression.
Yeah.
So Theodora said, look, 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, we've got to get Rama on the show. And then, okay. And then Detlef was like, yeah, you got to get Rama on the show, right? So then, by that time, I was already saying, okay, we'll get them both on the show. But then Rama said, I remember he said, what is the show about? He didn't know. Or he just woke up to 3 or 4 or 5 very excited voice notes and messages. Rama, we're doing this thing. SpeakuP Monday. You're on 2 weeks' time. He's like, hang on a second. Who's
Hungover voice note, by the way. It was 4 a.m. in the morning.
So it's interesting how things kind of happen. All right, so let's get to some of these questions that we kind of wrote. So innovations in organic agriculture and sustainable practices. So maybe Rama, this time we'll go to you. So maybe whatever comes into your mind, 1 or 2 things, you've mentioned some of them already, but innovations in organic agriculture and sustainable practices, what comes into your mind?
I think when we're talking about sustainable and organic, we're actually not innovating in technology savvy approach. We're actually go back to the old ways of growing. What actually needs to be improved and what actually needs to be innovated is actually the way how the consumers understand what's the produce all about. That's why I said in the beginning, I'm more focused and more willingly to work on the downstream instead of the upstream, even though that's my background. My background is in the upstream. But how could you make the produce accepted well by the people if they don't understand what they're eating? If they don't understand the process of how the food being made, if they don't understand what's different between season, tropical, subtropical, free flowering, the origin of the crops and the geo-distribution, how sweet potato moved from South America to Indonesia during the Ice Age by the migration of the ancient prehistoric humans, or maybe after the Ultra Toba Lake eruption, or how rice dispersed from Himalayas all the way to the Western Europe, became arborio that we know now, the short grain rice, and stays there until now, or how they develop just in the Himalayas hills and stays long grain, and then how they move all the way to Japan and Indonesia and became medium grain. All of those history are always interesting, but if we don't know where they came from, the appreciation will be way less. So the innovation, I guess, as extensification is not an answer, because at the moment we are looking, I'm not sure about the entire world statistics, but Indonesia is increasing, but many other countries also decreasing. The demographics are all different. Like in Japan, their demographics are getting lower. In many countries of Europe, also getting lower, but Indonesia is growing up. But compared to 60, 70 years ago, when our population was only 68, 70 million, 33 million of us are farmers. So let's say half of the population are farmers. Now we are in 280 million, almost goes to 300, only like 13 million left. So only like 5% left. But we're still able to produce, we're still able to supply the entire demand because of the intensification, because of technology itself. I'm not even talking about organic, right? But then, how many ways that we produce every day? This is actually, I say this in the different podcasts, the different continent, how they create the waste, like in Europe, in the States, or here. I think in Europe, mainly the waste just ended up at the farm because they have very high standard. And in the States, usually they ended up in the supermarket just because they sell it everything there with many different standards, and the buying power is getting lower. But here, the vegetables are still cheap. So people tend to just buy as much as possible, even more than they could chew, and they just ended up rotten in the fridge. Any of you did that?
Anybody
Exactly.
Anybody guilty?
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, someone's guilty. Yeah, I am. Yeah, buying more than you need, and it goes rotting in the fridge.
Yeah.
Don't use it. Yeah, be honest. Yep.
Yeah. So I guess the answer now is like how to. So okay, for example, in my company, Island Organics Bali, in our company, we set up the price high. The bar is high. The quality is high. The quantity is enough for what we have for our customers. But because of that high price, they have a better appreciation. Oh, Rama actually, the vegetable that we bought in Island Organic is still sitting there for 3 days. We have to eat it now. Whereas when you bought it from the market with like 5 times less, then, oh, mom, sorry, I have a study with my friends, and the husband have another meeting after whatever, and then, oh, let's just like sit there and throw it tomorrow. But if okay, I mean, of course, it's gonna still happening, but then maybe the mom just gonna call her friends, hey, there's a lot of leftover in my house, so please come and help me finish the food, right?
You know, the interesting thing, quick interjection. Yeah. So I think it was Jan Noor, Plastic Exchange, CNN hero, who's on the show a few times. But I think he said something, 60% of the waste produced by any domestic home is organic. 65, thank you, change. 65, we've gone up, right? Then the other thing which is quite important is that you heard of Scholars of Sustenance. So a guy called Bo Holmgreen, another good friend, is on the show. He created the largest food rescue non-profit in Southeast Asia, and they rescue food, right? So this, again, this organic, just picking up on that waste aspect of it, right? So giving you a break as well. So look, 3 things. Number 1, so everybody here are going to have a chance to ask some questions in about 10-15 minutes. So if you have questions in your mind, write them down somewhere, or just put them on your phone or something. So get ready to ask those questions. Now for you, Rama, so just going back to this question here. So which innovations, could you give us a really great history into where this has all come from and why we are where we are? But if there was maybe 1 or 2 innovations that you think are quite groundbreaking or could be really impactful for people to hear, what would they be?
I mean, we know biodynamic that developed by Rudolf Steiner back in the days, and of course both Balinese and Javanese, we have our own biodynamic approach. In Bali we call them kertemase. In Java we call them paranoto mongso. So it's the way of farming regards on the astronomy. So basically you just grow whatever during the right season, right? But again, this is actually back to my first statement. I think the technology now is like how to make sure that the consumers would get the freshest goods as local as possible. Native would be great, and with the entire supply chain that has to evolve and again innovate, then it's going to answer the problem. Because if you want to double the production or triple the production, then organic is not the way. You can actually do approach of higher diversity, because that's pretty much our motto. We call it eat locally, enjoy diversity. Because the way how we sustain our farm is by planting many different crops in one line. We have the tomato and basil all at the same time. We have all of the weeds that actually makes money in between that we also stop. And then we have now the carrots on the side to actually prevent some flies to eat the leaf of the tomato. And then after that, we have the brassica and covered by the Nasuscium because they're also creating a natural repellent for the crops, and so on and so on and so on. Again, a household would not buy 15 kilos of broccoli in a week, right? Even a family of 5 would not finish that in within a week or 2. So by having all of the productions diverse, it's actually enough to innovate and answer that problem. But the question now, how could we disseminate this system to the grassroots farmers? Because they've been doing monocrops since the Green Revolution in the 80s. So we came to the bigger problem, right? I'm not even talking like how could we involve the government, because I kind of gave up, but I never gave up in the same time as well to, you know, have a better reliability on the new government, for example. But anyway, the problem always gonna keep repeating by itself.
Keep repeating. You know, firstly, thank you so much, Brother Rama. So remember, it was Lenny who's going to say, me? Yes, you, Lenny, from Jiwa Garden. It was you and Krishna and Juka, obviously. I remember that was the first time where, you know, you were kind of explaining, Rob, like, we can use, just what you said, we can use different crops as an ecosystem to grow things in a regenerative way. And by using, as you said, well, growing this particular weed here keeps the parasites and keeps the plants or the flies away from the plant. That's what its role is. Whereas this one here puts more nitrogen in the soil, that then makes it more fertile, and so on and so on and so on. So I love this idea of just bringing all these different elements together, and almost like a 6-dimensional farming technique, which we're going to talk about later on with you.
So if Theodora fixed the restaurant, I fixed the soil.
Oh, there you go. Now, over to you, Theodora. So a few questions for you, which are coming up. So one is, again, you fix restaurants, right? So probably the first question then would be for people watching here who maybe either have a restaurant or maybe looking to have a restaurant or stuck in a restaurant that they're trying to get out of or sell but they can't. So what would you say, how would you approach from 2 different dimensions? It's a multifaceted question. The first dimension is, which mistakes do you see in the first timers coming into restaurants for the first time? From a menu point of view, what mistakes do you see? It's question number 1, right? Don't worry if you forget. The second part of that is that which mistakes do you see from people already in the restaurant industry, which may be kind of running short of breath? So over to you, the things that stand out.
So from clients having startups, usually they come to me, usually most of the time it's that they think they have the passion of cooking. They usually have money, but they are not chefs, or they haven't even done culinary training whatsoever. I just think, I have money, it's cool to have a restaurant. And then they have this vision that I want this and this and this, but it's maybe not a clear concept. When you want to open a restaurant with thousands of restaurants, maybe hundreds of thousands here, you have to have a concept. You cannot just have all things in the menu. So so sometimes it's their personal, what they like and what they don't like. It's what they want to put, and they just don't know usually where to start. They just have the money, and there's actually Ben somewhere here, a friend of mine is also a consultant on this. He's more on the business aspect of it. I'm more on the creative side of it. And so, so it's their usually kind of wanting their personal vision that might not work, and they insist on that, very random,
You know, just before you answer the next part of the question, one thing which was, when we were looking for a cafe back in Sydney, there's one piece of advice which was, and I wonder if it holds true, once you have your concept, find a location that matches your concept. Do not change your concept to match the location. I'll say it again. So once you have your firm concept, find a place, a location that suits your concept. Don't just find a location, think, okay, I'm going to modify my concept to match this location.
Exactly, yeah. So most of the time, I think it's a good business plan at the beginning would save you lots of troubles. Like maybe like study the area, like study what's your target first. Like if you want to sell vegan food, then maybe you don't want to stay just in Canggu, you know, like then it maybe works in Ubud better than in Canggu. Like it can work, but you have more this kind of thing. So like you have to see your target first. What is it that you want to earn? How much you want to sell the food? You know, how much is your rent? You know, look around. You know, don't just open without oh yeah, we just rent and then like the rent is what, like 300, 500 a year, and how much are you going to earn for that? Like so you have to do the business plan properly before you start. Sometimes people just start. Just like you said, they rent a place and then, okay, let's open a restaurant because they like the spot. Yeah, it's a good deal. Yeah, but what are you going to do there, you know? Or like maybe they sell pricey food in an area which are like more like young people stay there. Like it won't work. You will close. Yeah, these kind of things. Yeah, I agree.
Thank you. Then the second part of that is, okay, got it. So those who have been in business for a while, maybe they've had a restaurant for maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe longer, and they've maybe had that success in the beginning, but now they're kind of running short of breath. So these are the ones that you get called in, right, to fix.
Yeah.
So if you could divide it into 3, if you can, what are 3 things that you found generally tend to work when you're turning these restaurants around? What mistakes are they making?
I think most of the time it's innovation. That menu has been going on for months and months, if not years. It's the same old menu. And so like people just get bored of that, you know, like they just move on to another restaurant, like because they want to try new things. So I think ideally, like at least you need to kind of like refresh your menu, maybe not change the whole thing, but like insert like new menus every 6 months or something, like, and follow maybe the seasonality or something like that. And second, I think maybe staffing as well. So you didn't choose wisely maybe your team, and you stick with the old team because you just don't want to go through the hassle of like choosing the right person. So for me, when I look for personnel, skill, you can make them learn the skill. I am here for that. I train them. But attitude and personality and perseverance and humble, like I don't like when I know that many chefs have got big egos, they said, but yeah, that's what I actually avoid. You know, like I think we need to have like the right amount of ego, but you cannot have too big of an ego that then you cannot learn, because when you think you're too good, then you don't learn, because you can always learn from other people. I can learn even from my commis. I can learn from my students, because like when I was in Italy, like I was a teacher, like a culinary instructor for like 9 years, and I can learn, you know, something that my student learned from their nonna and I didn't know about, you know, things like this. And so it's just the humbleness of like wanting to just learn and improve, because you can improve from wherever. And third is the maths. They didn't do their maths right. Yeah, like basically, like before we even start, like so I've encountered someone who's made their menu. I said, like, do you have a food costing? Like, how did you define your prices? Oh, I just went around to the cafes here nearby in Canggu and take the average. Okay, if the avocado toast from that place is 75, from that place is 50, from that place is 60, then I get the average. I said, that's not how you make a price. Like maybe maybe that cafe of 75 use Rama's avocado. Maybe the one that sells the 30K use the one from Pasar. So of course it's not the same. So it's the costing. Like it takes a lot of, it's a pain to do. Like that's like the part that I used to hate maths and accounting. Now I have to do it. And so basically it's
creativity and maths and accounting.
Yeah. So you have to get your costing right. Like make sure what you put in the food cost, like on the cost cards. Like for every recipe, for every portion, we usually create a cost card, like to understand how much is that one nasi goreng costs to make. And then it's usually kind of like ideally should be around 35%, like maximum. And then you get 100% is the price.
Got it. Just one quick thing. So, are you or anyone just a little refill for our guests would be wonderful. So, look, we're going to go to the questions in the audience in about 5 minutes, right? So, if you have questions, have a think. We're going to take the third microphone, which is Theodora. That's going to go out to you in about 5 minutes, and then you're going to. So much great brains trust here. Don't want to be greedy and hog it myself. I want you to lead us with your questions, all right? Remember when you get the mic, put it to your mouth, not like this. All right, good. Okay, so Theodora and Rama, don't worry, they're going to give you a refill pretty soon. So yeah. So, brother man, so if we get a refill for our guests. Yeah, thank you so much, my darling. It's all good. So, you two working together, right? Through the filter of, we're in hospitality now, so there are some trends, right? Farm to table has been around, I think, for a little bit. I think people are becoming, we have an incredible chef here from Soulshine, another one from Black Sands, right? There's some people here in the hospitality industry, and I think we know that, we are what we eat, right? Yeah. So if we eat bad stuff goes in, probably bad stuff's going to come out. Yeah. Good stuff goes in, chances are good things will come out, right? Yeah. Okay, so through this filter then, if you can let us know, is there any trend that you see that's current now? Mm-hmm. And then how do you work together with someone like Rama?
Like in my case, I think I observed that many people are like looking into like eating like more health conscious and more like nutrition conscious. Like also like with Indonesians, I remember when I was a kid living in Indonesia, like we just eat everything fried. Like now like we understand more, I guess, to what's that gonna cost. Like and then we eat lots of carbs. And that's diabetes, and then fat, and then that's cholesterol. Like many Indonesians, like at young age, would have those problems already. So I guess that's why we are leaning more towards like farm to table, and like I noticed plant-based and reducing. Also like ethically, we are more conscious. So like reducing our consumptions of meat, and when there is meat, then we try to look. To source it from like sustainable farming. And by the way, the salami you're going to eat, they're from Bali black pork, black pig, and they're sustainable and they're organic. So don't feel too guilty about it.
They're just not halal.
They're just not halal. They're pork. So
at least we're clear about that one.
Yeah. So it's that, I guess. Yeah. And then to eat more locally, like I understand, like back in the days, I feel like among my friends that it's cool to kind of get produce imported, like the butter from whatever, Australia, from France. But now I think it's more and more people are going towards like, why not the, organic brand from Bali? Like, the cheesemaker, the butter, like, these kind of things. Like, so we have our own produce, like kind of like Western produce also, like if you really need to eat like Western food, like produce locally, why not? Rather than buying it from importing it.
I was about to say, Brother Ram.
I just want to say of course, when people are more health conscious, they're not really price conscious. Yeah. Because of course, to afford doing organic and more sustainable, there's a price to pay. I'm talking in Indonesia in general, but of course, this is not what we're talking about. I was about to say, once I eat my own produce, I'm slim and lean maybe, but like actually I eat a lot. I literally eat a lot. I could eat like 5 to 7 times a day. And once I start to eat my own vegetables, staples, and many others, I eat like almost 40%, 50% less. Because of what? Because most of the fresh produce lose their vitamin and minerals 3 days after harvest. So when I got everything fresh, then my body somehow said, "Hey Rama, you got enough mineral, vitamins, fiber, whatsoever you're supposed to get from us. So eat less." And then my body says, "Rama, yes, eat less." I mean, of course, I still eat a lot of barbecue, but that's a different story. I don't eat as much rice as before because I somehow also transformed from eating rice to eating yams. Not by choice. I think it's more because of palate preference. I grew up with red rice already since 30 years ago, just because I've been always anti-mainstream. Like when the entire family eat white rice, I just want to eat something. Well, back then red rice was leftover. It was an anomaly from a production. Usually it's like 10, 15, 20% from the entire production, but it's very small. And then my nanny always brought like 50 kilograms of red rice once in a year after Lebaran, and I just falling in love with it. My family usually called me Rama, the guy who eat not rice with kecap manis, but kecap manis with rice.
Love that.
So then I stopped the kecap manis and then add many different condiments and fresh produce up to now, like I barely got sick.
Mamma mia. So look, what we're going to do, right? We're going to do something we don't usually do because we love doing things you don't expect. So, Hadis or Ayu, if we take the third mic from Theodora, firstly, now everybody here, including Rama, stand up. Yeah, that's right. Audience are like, what? Stand up. Everybody in the audience, stand up. Just stand up. Stand up. Just stand up. There you go. All right. All right. Just stretch your arms in the air. Yeah, like you just don't care. Right? It's going to happen. You know it. Raise your hand if you have a question. Now, I know you do. And if you don't ask, I will pick on you because I know who's got questions. So, Wayan, question. Coming to you, my brother, because you went first last time. You can go first this time. You're my brother. Let's do this. So meanwhile, while Rama gets a mic, so just think, right, because earlier on, when I asked you, right, if there's anything that you want to learn, most of you spoke about something. Now that tells me that you have a question. If we've covered it already, that's awesome. If we haven't, ask, because remember, some people here maybe don't really want to go in public and ask a question, right? So if you do, you're helping them too, right? Because I know you people are beautiful. You love to help each other. I can know. I tell. Brother Wayan, thank you, man. Over to you for our first question.
Okay. First is thank you. Usually I don't have a question, but I agree with Sep because yes, we usually normally try our healthy life, healthy food. So what we also do it in our hotel in Solshan, and we also try to make a lot of food with our own organic garden in there. We have also. Then also the waste for the food we also make for the compost. So usually we just made it the compost is not to waste, and also no kimia in our food. That's is our plan for the food because we love to healthy life and healthy food in there. Thank you very much.
Wayan from Soulshine, round of applause. He went first. Wayan from Soulshine. Lenny, take that microphone, otherwise I'll call you out. You know, that's how we roll people.
The owner of Soulshine is actually our friend, Sarah Franti. So we say
Michael.
hi. Yeah. Hi, Sarah.
Love it.
So we got, as well.
Now, you got Lenny. We lost some power. Let's hope we're okay. So Lenny over here from Jiwa Garden. What's your question?
Okay, awesome. Thanks. I was going to ask you to, if you could name a couple of kind of tactics or strategies how we can get more farmers to go and grow organic or regeneratively in Bali, but also to have more restaurants jump on that bandwagon. How would you do that?
Should I answer?
Yeah. It's to both of you, sir.
So last week I had a meeting with the special task force of President Jokowi's office. Basically, they want to create a new, let's say, academy for a couple of months or 6 months, I'm not sure. But the campaign is like how to do regenerations of the young farmers, right? And then this is actually what I said earlier, like imagine if you finally succeeded this program. You made new 300,000 farmers whatsoever. And then there would be like tons, million tons maybe, of new produce that needs to be marketed. And you're not working in the downstream, then these farmers not going to be a farmer anymore. Because they have to sustain their production, right? So I guess I'm not saying that the government needs to do something, because they've been doing a lot, good and bad, mainly bad. But what I was actually asking from them is make like all of the policies that we have here are overlapping, not only the inter-department, but also cross departments, also cross ministries. But that's not our problem, that's their problem. Like my company doesn't have any affections. We're not affected with those, well, not 100% directly affected. But the question is like now how to make the farmer sexy again, right? How to make the a job title became more demanding. I'm gonna tell you a story. One time when my mom called me, hey Rama, so I met my old friend and I've told that my youngest son became a pilot and my second one became a marketer in this big company, blah, blah, blah. But I cannot remember what you're doing. I was like, petani, farmer, simple and easy. No, it was not farmer, it was not petani, it was something? Horticulture, you mean? Horticulturist? Yes, horticulturist. Yeah, I mean like it's a farmer. It's basically horticulturist / petani / farmer. But she was so embarrassed to just actually say it to her friends. Yeah. So it means that the job is not sexy at all. That's my job. That's basically whoever's job to actually make it sexy again. But how could it be sexy if there's no future, if there's no sustainability of? To most of my fellow farmers always complain, we've been doing a lot. We've been doing from day to night, from Monday to Monday, from the 1st to the 30th, and we got nothing. Whereas people from the savvy tech, they only like sit from home doing, I mean, of course, I'm not underestimating what they're doing. They're also doing a lot, but it's just like very tempting to just compare our job that physically demanding to this new age of job that just like remote. I can be in Marrakesh, I can be in, I don't know, Kyoto, whatever you name it, and still making money, whereas like I have to sit in Bali and looking forward and looking over all of my 40 farmers doing their job, or like to just make sure that my broccolini gonna bloom again to create another broccoli, or the other way around, something like that. Yeah. So in this case, we need a lot of people to do the campaign. I guess to just answer your question, how, it's not like one step. I guess many different entities, many different people have to involve to get this achievement, to get this goal.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Great question, Lenny. Okay, Theodora's going to answer too, right? Yeah, good. Sorry.
So, like, I guess from users' point of view, because I don't grow them, but I cook them, or I use them. Basically, I think what you guys have been doing are great, like creating awareness, like as Jiwa Garden would invite to the farm, also Rama would invite whoever, chefs or even like friends who want to see how they grow and what they actually taste, like make them taste, and then even do maybe like vertical kind of like comparison, maybe like a cucumber, like non-organic, like industrial one, like from like mass production with organic cucumber, then you would know the difference. And yeah, so I guess by educating and making organic produce more accessible and creating events like you guys are doing and collaborating, sponsoring, so like more people get to kind of like taste and know what organic farm is about and taste the organic produce. I guess that's, yeah, but it's a long way to go, I guess, and it's not easy.
One step at a time. Okay, so another question, Black Sands Brewery, Come on. You knew I was going to come to you, Lenny. Just over here. So maybe the point. I'm going to go to you behind my brother. After you, we'll go afterwards. 'Cause remember you said that you were looking at something when I asked you off pre-show. You said you're looking for something. So that's what I'd love you to ask.
Actually, I want to know about, is it different between the organic and then the normal when they are planting? Is need more time to plant the organic or not? Because like on our problem as a purchasing, sometimes like some chef, they don't know about the seasonal and they're just asking like, yeah, I want to use this one. And how about that?
Yeah.
Thank you, my darling. Well, Mike spoke over there. The other way. Just go, gentleman at the back. Yeah. Just over there. Yeah. Okay.
This is not even related with organic at all, actually.
It is.
I'm just saying.
It's okay. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. So, I don't think it's even related with organic, but yeah, I got your questions. So, few times ago, I actually came up with this subject on another seminar about availability, about how to make a more sustainable purchase, mindful groceries, and so on and so on and so on. Because to most of the restaurants here in Bali, well, all over the world, they don't work directly with farmers. You guys work with supplier.
Yeah.
When it comes to supplier, this farmer doesn't have A, I'm gonna get the A from the second, third, fourth until they got it. Yeah. Whereas when you work with us, we've been working together for quite some time, then yes, please let me know how many kilos a week you need from A, B, C type of crops. But then of course, restaurants also have their own fluctuations of market. Okay, this week we got 10 kilos and they only asked 5. Next week, we got 5 kilos and they asked for 10. And then how could we plan them? I'm not even talking about sustainability. I'm just talking about a consistency. There's never a consistency of one particular customers, and in this case, it's the F&B, to us as a producer, because we're not supplier. We're not just like randomly getting our crops from here and there. We just and we rely on our production. But to rely on our production, we also always have buffer. Okay, you ask for 15 kilograms of baby curry, for example. We're gonna plan at least 20 kilograms because we need a buffer. We do have also our home deliveries. We also have new clients that want to taste, and sometimes your restaurants also got the increase of the market. So, okay, we have a bit more. But then, if your order is never stable, then, I'm not growing mung bean sprout that took 3 days. Baby curry took 3 months to grow. Can we get a parsnip 10 kilos a week? Yes, of course we can during the cold season, but let me know 6 months before, not 6 days before. That's what usually happen. I know the entire hierarchy in restaurants and hotels sometimes could be quite long, from the F&B director all the way to purchasing. Rama, we need to get a new menu. Could you prepare us 10 different lists of vegetables? Yes, I can. Do you want to sign a contract? So it's good to go for both parties. But no, they don't want to sign a contract because of many reasons, because they don't want to attach with the numbers. Okay, understood. 2 weeks before they about to change the menu, sorry, the owner jumped in and he changed the entire menu. It happens all the time.
Theodora doesn't do that. Theodora's clients.
I don't do that, but
my clients do.
Yeah. we share the.
I never said that. Wasn't it?
That's Ben, my friend, the business consultant part. Yeah. So basically it's my last project was farm to table, so restaurant, upcoming one. So it's that, I guess, when it's like that, you cannot just create a menu. You have to sit with your head gardener first. Even in Padma Resort Ubud, we have our own garden. So you need to make sure like if you don't know, then ask them, sit with them. You know, what is it that you will have for me in the coming 3 months, 6 months, and then create your menu based on that, and not like in Europe, maybe for example, I don't know, like wanting really red and maybe like, you know, sweet tomatoes in January. Yeah, forget it, you know, like, so things like this, like sometimes we chefs ourselves don't want to understand this, and I guess the way for sustainability is to kind of like cook and eat what's in season. Luckily, we are in a tropical country, so Rama said like it's a bit easier for us rather than maybe like yeah. But still, you know, carrots need to grow like for 3 months, and then you have to consider that time. You cannot like you have to be mindful. Us chefs, we cannot just demand like too much when we don't know, and just sit. You know, like if you don't want to buy from the market or from the mass production, if you want to buy organic, then sit with your farmer.
Great one. Another question. I think you have the mic. Great.
Yeah.
So, all right, one more question. Then we go over here. I know Detler have one.
So thanks everyone for hosting this great talk. So first, I want to quote Steiner, and he was saying it's basically not a deficiency of the knowledge, but a deficiency of the nutrients which the people don't receive. So they cannot receive the knowledge because of the deficiency of the nutrients, which, you know, we lack in our sort of Western diet these days. So what do you want to do to kind of encourage the young farmers? And I'm a farmer. I consider myself a farmer, even though I'm not maybe farming the way people think about farmer these days. So I'm coming from a point of like, waste management and working with what is available. But if I explain that to young people, they don't understand. So how are we gonna inspire young people to come on this train, and especially the people who are gonna be farmer? They're usually the ones who kind of can't afford like to buy, you know, the organic food, so they could experience what it feels like to be on that vibe, like to be. So I reckon we are all very, very privileged to be in this position of being able to talk about it, and as well knowing what it means to eat the wealth which then creates the wealth in our lives. So I think it's amazing that the government wants to do this kind of academies, but how do we gonna get people encouraged to come on board and really like commit to that journey, and as well as you said, not to jump off the ship basically as soon as they kind of come out there, because it's not sustainable.
Thank you. Did you get that? Yeah?
Got it.
So if you can pass the mic just down over here. Thank you very much.
So when they came to me, I immediately said, you guys don't have to do much, just let them look at me. I'm the, what do you call it? The dazzling in the rustic.
Dazzling.
The dazzling in the rustic.
In a rustic setting like this.
I can be successful. I can actually travel. I can actually have my normal life by just being a farmer. And this is not the stigma that most of the people got from being a farmer. But again, to make it more realistic, I guess at the end of the day, we're talking about capital, right? How much effort, energy, time, and space you spend for being a farmer, and how much you would get in return. And this is everybody's homework. Not only the government, not only us, but also the consumer, because the consumer also have to start a better appreciation. Like why the tomato costs like 15,000, like why the tomato costs 40, why the other tomato costs 120. They just have to understand more, because like we are the producers, we have our own costing. Even like many restaurants, they don't actually do the right costing. So this is, I feel like, a chronic disease to our society, to know like how to understand every single process of many different goods. the food that Theodora created, the food, the raw materials that I grow, the nutrients that we have to collect or extract from many other different life form, it has effort, right? I mean, of course, this is going to be like another semester to answer that question, but I guess to again innovate and then encourage the young farmer, it has to be coming from a secure secure capital, and then how to convince them that, okay, if you start growing this, then you will get this certain amount of money, like normal business in general. Whereas in farming, in agriculture, is never clear, because when the extensionists, the mentor, the farming mentors that provided by the government said, oh, this is the time to grow chilies. 3 months after, the entire village harvests chilies. And of course, the price dropped down. And then their effort to actually grow the chilies is way more than the price of the chili itself. And it happens every year, and people never learn. The system also never learn. And underestimating agriculture is also something that we have to change, to place different stigma of farming that actually very complex. Well, this is also another two sides of the knife, right? It is complex, but it's also not really making a lot of reward.
You know, you bring up some really important things. Detlef, we'll come to you in a second. So one thing which I want to quickly share. So I had the opportunity through Tabanan, through working with the Balinese royal family there, to meet the director of agriculture for the Republic of Indonesia. Her name is Indah Megawati. Right?
Oh, the Director General of Horticulture.
There you go,
yeah.
Right? So I met her, and I met a few guys. One is called Karma, who was or still is in charge of the largest farmers co-op in Bali. I think it's thousands of farmers, apparently. And then also people like Jeroen, who's been on the show, who's got Bali Co-op, which is a blockchain. Yeah. Also 5 Harvest O, Sabdo. We had them on the show before, who are basically bringing blockchain into farming. Right? So basically with 5 Harvest O, for example, as a person coming in, a foreigner, I buy a visa, and through blockchain technology, then a percentage of that money goes direct to the farmer's co-op, right? And it's transparent. So the money can't be trifled with. It goes from one to the other. I can look at the blockchain, which means it can't be changed, the information. So I see where it went from to who it went to, right? So we have these technological advancements. Also, I have got the time to spend with some farmers too, right? And I heard something like what you've been saying, but we're not talking about it yet, maybe not for today, about what government means with farmers and what actually happens on the ground, right? So my brother, what's your name? Andre. Now, Detlef's got a question, but my question to you, not now, I'll give you some time to think, is, because you're a farmer, as our brother Rama. So my question to you will be, you know, if you had the opportunity, which things would you change or like to see that makes what you do, which is the most important job on the planet, easier, right? So just let that sit for a little bit.
Or
right?
simpler.
Or simpler, yeah. So Brother Detlef, over to you for the question, my brother.
Yeah, well, should not all of this start in school? I mean, all these movements, they're not starting when people are 18 years old. They have to start when kids are 6 years old. I remember still maybe 30, 40 years ago, the Green Movement in Europe, it starts in school. And if the father drops a bottle in the garbage, the son say, hey, why you drop this in the garbage? That's not garbage, you know. And I'm a big fan of the Bali Art Center and of these excuse me? Yeah. But what I see there, I see amazing things, but not the food. And the demand, push-pull effect here starts with the kids. And they give the order. And this is also then going along with farmers, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you, brother. Could you pass the mic to our brother over here? We would love to hear from you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, my brother, for being here. Thanks, Rama, for inviting him.
As a farmer, to make it, our life is simpler. It's just have the government to buy our product. The problem right now, I think, in the Indonesia actually, the product itself, the buyer is not from the consumer, but the third party. And the third party buy it maybe around, like, let's say the price is actually 10,000. They buy it only at 1,000, half, not even half, bottom of half. And they sell it to the customer is, let's say 15,000. So many people, young people actually don't want to be a farmer. They work hard, I know, because I've been there, doing a bicycle under the sun and from 6 until 12, and they only get paid that even for themselves is not enough. That's why the farmer is not sexy. But I think if the farmer have actually, I come not from the actually a farmer. I have a good background from my parents itself. It's my privilege. So let's say I have a knowledge, not like how to sell, how to market, what product sexy to sell. So that's why the problem is, I think the government should learn from the Thailand itself. From the Thailand, I think the government buy the products from the farmers. They guarantee if you produce this, the government will buy. But in Indonesia, that's not happen. I think the problem is if the government willing to pay the farmer produce, it's gonna make it life easier.
My brother, thank you very much. Because if we pass the mic, I think you had a question, Klaus. And that is what, and we'll get to you in a minute. That is pretty much what I heard from the farmers when I spent some time with them. What you're basically saying is that, and then there's another racket going on where, at the end of the day, to get the funding to basically have the raw materials, the infrastructure to farm effectively, a loan usually is required. The person giving the loan is the same person who's buying the produce at way below market price. So this comes back to the middle person making that markup and not paying the fair market price to the farmer, right? And then, so now you're doubly squeezed because number one, it's hard to pay back that loan. Number two, then how can you pay back that loan when you're not making the money on the produce in the first place? Yeah, so thank you, man. It's very interesting to kind of hear it from you. It's interesting also to hear some of these similarities that I've heard. This was about a year ago that I met her and spent some time, a few days or something. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to comment on before we go to the question?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of on the school thing that on the school system that Lev mentioned. I guess it's easier, yes, in Europe. Like in Italy, the children would eat at school, so we would have the cafeteria, so we would have the cooks cooking for the children, and they are usually educating about the food through that. Like you eat what you have there, although you don't like it, and it's usually a balanced diet. In Italy, we would have the salads or the veggie, and then you would have the pasta, and then you would have like a little bit of protein, and so you educate them through that. And they would have the fun for that, or like the like in private schools, maybe like the parents would also like pitch in, for daily, like how much is the budget. And while I think in Indonesia, implementing that in the school here, it's a bit difficult because we don't have actually that. I don't know, we would have our lunch boxes, or they would pick us up from school early, so we eat at home. Yeah.
To just add of it, I mean, I remember back in the days, we were encouraged to grow our mung bean, to just sprout as a mung bean sprout. Stop there. And then the other school said, Okay, you can grow the mung bean sprout until it's flowering and you can make bubur kacang hijau whatsoever. But then when halfway it's failed, it's okay, darling. Mama gonna buy from outside and I'll make you one. So they never really have that brain development of like, okay, if the food chain in my system failed, then the universe is gonna always help me. Because we're in the tropics. This is also another tropical behavior that everything grows every day. We have different, we have different, what do you call it? We have different mentality with the temperate people, with the subtropical people.
Thank you so much, and really good points. So we have, I think, probably the last question, unless someone has another question, but it's probably one more. We have one over here, and all right, so we have 2 more questions. So we have your beautiful wife, and we have you, my darling. I'm looking forward to your question. Please, yeah.
Yeah, I have to disappoint you. It's not a question, but rather a suggestion. I lived in Hong Kong for a long time, and people there were also concerned about healthy vegetables and how to get it. Buying it in a supermarket would be very expensive. So some people came up with the idea that, let's say, 5 to 10 families sponsor one farmer. They ask him, how much do you need every month to survive? And then you grow the crops you grow, and we take them. So think about that. If you replicate this, then you could actually encourage a farmer to grow food organically. He would have a guaranteed income because a certain number of families would pay him every month to do just that. Something to think about.
Thank you very much. So the yes over here, and then over here. Yeah, great. Thank you for that. Much appreciated.
I'm just curious about the Regenetica food. I don't know if you use this Regenetica food also in the organic farm, or they said it's like the corn, for example. Previously there's no sweet corn, but now there is sweet corn. And how it is a study. I mean, I never do check it in the internet also, how it is affected our new generation genes. So, I mean, I have a lot of questions here, but this I'm curious of. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just answer that? Of course you can.
Okay, so, well, this is like another semester to answer that. But when we're talking about modification or improvement in the genetics, let's say we made it 2 big lines, the modifications and then the improvements. The modifications usually related with transgenic. When you combine 2, 3, up to whatever numbers of different organisms in one species, a plant that has bacteria, shellfish, fish, mammals, whatever genes all together there to just develop as a mutant. That's the GMO that we know now as, let's say, most of the majority of our population against that. But then there's also another genetic improvement that have different approach that we call hybridization, mutagenesis, ploidy. So hybridization is like when you cross different lines of breeding sections. Like, for example, you guys know broccolini?
Yep.
Broccolini is a hybrid. It's a hybrid between Italian broccoli and Chinese broccoli. Are they coming from the same species? Yes. Are they evolving on the same level? No. One evolved in China, one evolved in Italy. Like Detlef and Mbak Lucy, both human being, right? Look at the difference. One darker, one paler. Just because you have different evolution. And you make your beautiful kids.
Great analogy.
So your kids are the broccolini, you're the Kailan, and you're the broccoli. Let's put it that way.
Broccolini, disco farmer, I love it.
So it's not, yeah, it's a rocket science, but not really. But then there's also mutagenesis. Mutagenesis could be easily found in bananas. Yeah. So Mutagenesis is ploidy. Most of us, we are diploid. We only have like two alleles, like this, like two couples of alleles. And then because of the natural mutation, they create 4 alleles called tetraploids, right? And then when the tetraploids cross with the diploids, they became triploids. And all of the triploids are seedless. So that's why most of your bananas are seedless. But does it happen in the lab? Does it happen with human approach? No, it happens in the wild. So as simple as that. Wow. GMO only being approved in Indonesia as early as 2017 for corn crops, but only for livestock feeder. So we don't really actually consume of course we eat the livestock, but we don't really eat the corns. And then to answer the questions about sweet corn is a double hybrid. It's a hybrid that they cross with mutagenesis. So it's just like a hybrid in a hybrid. Like your daughter met another hybrid. So that's called double hybrid. Yeah.
Thank you, Ram.
Yeah, very sweet corn.
Mamma mia. Very, very sweet corn, right? I like that one. So, Madonna Theodora, anything to add to that, or we go straight to the questions? Okay. So this will be our last question. So over to you, my dear. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say, my God, Rama, you definitely made farming very sexy. Okay, so...
Thank you.
Amen to that.
Appreciate that.
Now, okay.
I agree.
Now back to the serious part, okay? It's kind of sad to think that, people don't think of farming as being something that they need to learn and know about. I mean, to the point that you shared about your own family, using the word horticulture versus farmer or farming. Now, I'm saying this because I have a foundation in Cianjur, the Learning Farm.
Yeah.
So this is where we take in every 4 to 6 months, 50 or 60 youths, troubled youth, or those who are underprivileged, and we teach them farming. Not for anything initially, but when they become farmers, they learn discipline, responsibility, and a commitment to see through from seedlings right through to harvesting. Yeah. So it's a whole process. I think this is where we know Margaret Berry, BCF. Even her children are learning, maybe in some shape or form, about farming. Yeah. And I do know in Bali that a number of schools are beginning to move towards sharing the education of farming to the students and to the children, because from there they learn beyond farming. They learn some heavy-duty responsibility here, and that's something that is not easy for one to embrace in any other way, because you got to take care of something living and you have to be responsible to its harvesting. So going back to what you shared about education, and I believe strongly that it has to start there. And if the government is trying to build up academies or what have you, horticulture, you got to wait until they graduate. No, I think you got to start a lot sooner. If we're saying 6 years old, I believe even when they're in preschool, they've got to start learning to grow plants, understanding, and the fascinating, just looking at how it grows. Now I'm thinking, because part of my responsibility is managing Soul Shine Bali as well, and I've got my chefs and my director here. And I think one thing that we need to go back into looking, I've learned so much from you. I think we don't really just need gardeners at the hotel, at the resort. We need to start having farmers. We need to start doing that. And I think we may have a team of groundkeepers, as we call it. When we get back tomorrow, we're going to talk. And I believe we need to start introducing farmers just to look after organic, garden and building that on. I think, we should all move towards that. Private sector will have to make it work. That's how it works. Thank you.
Totally agree. I have to start with private sectors anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Just back to Guz. Hadis. If you give it back to Theodora, that'd be great. So just a few things on that. So I grew up in 2 children's homes for about 18 years in London, right? Most people here know that already. For those who don't, now you know. And very conflictious way to grow up. I learned so much. I learned about unity and diversity from a very young age. But the reason why I bring it up is that one of the guys in our children's home, a bit like Rama, handsome guy, right? Sexy guy, there you go, right? But this guy, maybe not like Rama, this guy was a fighter, right? He was a brawler, he came from a tough background, he was angry, right? African guy, Nigerian to be precise. And he became one of the first black sous chefs of a major 5-star London hotel. So this guy went from an angry kid who was skilled at martial arts, used to beat everybody up, including me, every now and again. But this guy punched way above his weight. But what smoothed him out, what developed him as a person, was becoming a chef. And all the processes that go into that. So then when I look at not just Jamie Oliver, but all these other chefs, remember, Someone Feed Phil, you guys have got to watch it, you'll know what I'm saying. But a lot of these chefs, right, come from hardcore backgrounds. Yeah. And just as you said so beautifully, right, these kids from like broken homes and all the rest of that, take them to the earth, put their feet in mud, get their hands in the soil, right? It balances the human body because it cannot do anything but that. Because we are part of the earth. Yeah. We come from the earth, right? We're all formed of the same 4 elements if you want to get down to a microcosmic level.
But you also made a point, like, we cannot wait too long.
I agree.
We cannot wait until this generation became a people, right? Yeah. We have to start at some point anyway.
I can't agree more with you, though, because I think when I moved to Italy when I was 26, graduating from the best university in Indonesia, blah, blah, blah. And so I was kind of like Jakarta, girl going to Italy. So I was kind of like maybe a bit of a snob. And my education as a chef and having to peel maybe like 20 kilos potatoes every day and fish to gut, and also my ex-husband's cousins, they have an agriturismo. It's like basically like farm to table, agritourism, like it's farm to table restaurants. So I would see them how they grow their food, and sometimes I would help in the kitchen and outside and in the farm. So I kind of like, wow, it humbled me down the hard life as a chef and as a migrant chef and as a female chef also, because of course we had, unfortunately, as female in the kitchen, we have to kind of like prove ourselves even more, I think, to be acknowledged. Otherwise then they would kind of like, then not all, like I've always been, I think, quite fortunate, but with my chefs, but most of maybe like some colleagues would kind of like underestimate you just because you are a woman, even when you are like fellow Italians, but like you are a woman. Yeah. So that kind of like...
what we're going to do, thank you so much, Theodora, Rama. So we're going to bring this to a close. Now, the way that we do this is, first I'm going to look at the 3 things you put out. We put out there innovations in organic agriculture. Yes, we did. Culinary fusion and the impact on the hospitality industry. Yeah, sort of covered that. And the role of cultural heritage in modern entrepreneurship. Maybe we have a little bit to go on that one. Yeah. But here's the thing, right? As I mentioned to you, Brother Rama, Sister Theodora, none of this is planned. The reason why, because after 422 interviews, I realized that you don't have to plan anything with this, because it takes the conversation where it wants to go. And for whichever reason, tonight, it wanted to go there. And I just want to thank all of you here and those online of being part of that and giving us permission just to go like that. We've probably gone over time as well, but who cares about time? It's about the energy, the feeling, and what's being shared, right? So I just want to thank you both for being a part of this. I want to thank the audience for being part of this. Our Tropical Nomad brothers and sisters, Guzman over here, Hadis somewhere over there, and Sister Ayu over there, right? Thank you so much. Now, there's a few things we're going to do. One is that we're going to eat some delicious food very, very soon, so it's coming. Before that, after we finish this part, we're going to all have a photo together up here. So do not run for the food either. Come up here, we're going to take one photo together, then we're going to run for the food. Before we do that, we're going to hear from Brother Rama, Sister Theodora. Now, in about 2 minutes. Yeah. So, what is it? Is there anything that you want to share? It might be reiterating something, or it might be something that you think, you know what? I think this is important to share about our topic, hospitality and horticultural blueprint, and I really want to share it, right? Whatever that is, we'll give you the time to do that. If you can cap it at 2 minutes, that'd be good, but we'll see how we go. So in the meantime, just want to say that next week, remember, this is a weekly show, right? So we have an in-studio, in-person audience that we really appreciate. Anything from 15 to, I think, 150 is the most we had. It was crazy, but it doesn't matter because it's the right number for that week. And the right people show up because they're attracted to the title, the topic. What I would really encourage is that you come. I want to hang out with the farmer, 2 of them here, right? So you come in person and you get to meet the people here as well as up here, but people here, because remember, the person that you probably need to hear from the most is sitting next to you or behind you, right? So don't just leave and say that was great. Speak to people. That's the whole point, right? Next week is all about health. So the first Monday of every month, it's a collaboration that we started about 2.5 years ago or something. Health Hub Bali, Tracy, dear friend and colleague. So what that's about is that there is an integrative medical tourism model for Bali that is unlike anywhere in the world. It's extremely unique, has 3 elements to it. Medical tourism, you mentioned Jokowi before. This is about going through realizing that billions of dollars a year are leaving the country through people not having the confidence that their operation could take place in Indonesia. This is addressing that. You have Sanur, Special Economic Zone, and about 3 other protocols that I'll go through another time. The second part is health tourism. And the third part is wellness tourism. So what we have in Bali is 7 ley lines of energy to underpin it that give it this incredible property of rejuvenation, rebirth, healing. Like anywhere, unlike most other places in the world, in the Balinese culture, through offerings and ceremony that maintain the balance. So this is a unique place. Then we have West meets East. So that is Western hard science. That means testing, measurements. Are you getting better? What do you have right now? Meets East, which means I can treat it using food, because food is medicine, right? The body, if I scratch it, will heal itself if my body is in balance, homeostasis. If it's not, it means that something is overcoming it. There's a beautiful man by the name of Tuaji, who's a seventh Brahmin who lives in Gianyar, and all he does with people is that he treats them with organic food and what they put in their mind. This is wellness and health, right? So this model has got functional medicine at the core of it. Functional medicine means that if I have a headache at 4 o'clock every day, I don't just pop a pill. What is causing the headache? That's functional medicine. Going to the core of what it is and healing that with West meets East, right? So that's next week. If you're interested, Health Hub Bali, the first Monday of every month. That was the longest 2 minutes ever, I'm sure. But once again, I really do want to thank both of you because you both stepped up. Theodora, you volunteered him. Rama, you're a beautiful man. I love you, brother. Love your sister, Theodora. Drinking a glass of wine while the show. Great audience. What could be better than that? Important dialogue, right? So tonight was funny, but it was also serious. And that's the point. When you let the energy flow, it goes where it needs to. Whether you do with serious matters or funny matters, either or, you let it go. Yeah. Comes through, not from. Yeah. Right? All right, so who wants to go first?
I think I'm going to let the older first.
Okay. I knew that was coming.
The ladies first and older.
So he would say, yeah, the eldest because I'm much older than he is. So.
Not really.
a few years. Anyway, but he always mentioned that. Anyway, like in my case, I think what I want to leave is like people with is you mentioned the business. What is it like that makes people fail? I guess because they haven't really thought about it through. So what happened to me while I was studying in Italy, I took a master's degree before the culinary degree. So it was in communication and marketing. So my professor that did the thesis with me I was kind of like confused of what to focus on with my life. And so he mentioned yourself is also like a marketing product. You have to sell yourself. It's like business. So in a business or in a person, I guess you kind of like have to focus. What is it that passionates you more? What is it that you don't think that when you are 80 years old, then you think, oh, I hate this job or I hate this subject actually. And what is it that you can contribute to people? Like, what is it that you seem to be like so natural in doing that? What is your point plus? Which was my being multicultural, like knowing lots of about cultures, and also about cooking. Like I feel that it was like the most natural thing I can do. So I guess in a business, in a restaurant concept, like you have to focus on like just not doing what everybody is doing, but what is it that makes you special and that you sell.
Love it. Thank you, my darling. Thank you. Brother Rama.
Well, I might be a bit long, but since I was challenged to sing, so there was an old Javanese verse that I would like to sing to all of you. Hopefully it's not going to be more than 5 minutes.
Oh no!
May I?
Yes.
May I?
Yes, of course. Can you sing? Round of applause for Rama.
It's not a sing, it's actually more a cappella, but yeah.
That's good.
Aja turu sore kaki ana dewa nganglang jagat nyangking bokor kencanane netunga tetula sandang kalawan pangan ya iku bagian nepon wong melek sabarana rima So, free transliteration. Ojo turu sore kaki. Don't sleep too early. That's why I go to disco most of the time. Ono dewa nganglang jagat, because there's a lot of entities, goddesses, gonna give you blessings throughout the universe. Wait. With their baskets of blessings, give you clothes, house, and food. Okay, to make it short, this first actually trying to tell us how to play your roles right. Because we were born with effort. I mean, when my daughter was born, I told to my family and told to myself, and of course I told her as a toddler, I cannot wait to see what you would become, and you could be whatever you want. My duty is just to make you responsible and independent. You can be the most wanted vigilante in the world. You can be the president of UN as long as you play your roles right and efficient. Thank you.
Round of applause, everybody. Rama and Theodora, thank you so much. See you next week.